Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel, and we're reviving a dead project. And no, it's not the Quasar, I can't get to that just yet, but it's none other than the SLR B15 that I never managed to finish. I wanted to put a real steel stock on which fit, but it collided with the QD points on the receiver. I didn't really want to have to modify the receiver that much, so I put it on the back burner for a bit. And just today I thought, you know what, let's fix it. So this is the crappy 5KU stock, if I'm going to be able to pull this off. And it was really wobbly, it didn't fit very well, it moved all over the place. And I just thought to myself, surely we can fix this. And I have. As you'll probably tell from me not being able to get it off. And it was done in a very basic way. Let's slide this back here. So what I did was I made some spacers. So the first spacer came out perfectly, which is a little piece of plastic that's been produced to the exact dimensions of that part of the lug and the exact dimensions of the outsides of this lug. And it basically just bridges the gap. So what that means is, if I can do this, that used to flop around something awful as well as the stock tube, but now that goes in and it doesn't move. So it's just, it's not critical for size or anything like that, but it just needs to remove the play. Making this part is very delicate, but as soon as it's in there and it's between the two pieces of metal, I'm not that concerned. The second part was the tube, which if I put the first part of the thread in, you'll see how sloppy it is. And I was going to do the same thing, so I made a spacer. It's very thin, and it fit quite well into this part, but going on the stock tube part as well, it just wouldn't quite fit. Tried to force it, sort of thought on the train of thought that, you know, once I get it in there, it doesn't really have to be moved all that much. And I did manage to get it into the stock, so it sat there just like that out the way, but the dimension was just a little bit too tight. I mean, I'm printing this as thin as I possibly can. You're talking like 1/2 mil thick here before it gets difficult to print such an item, and you'll see it did eventually break. But because with how delicate this is and how detailed the thinner wall is, it took about 4.5 hours to make. I wasn't going to go in and shave like a 0.1 of a mil off and do another 4.5 hour print. I wanted to get this thing going. So what I ended up doing was just messing about with some print labels, and this is three turns of the, you know, the print labels that I put on the envelopes, thinking it doesn't need to be pretty, it just needs to beef up that sloppy area. And as soon as I put 3 on, what I kind of did as well, wrapping the 3, because I did 1 wrap, didn't work, did 2 wraps, didn't work, did 3 wraps, it was okay. So I kind of just inefficiently wrapped it. And although it's flat now, it's kind of like pressurized the paper sticker sort of into place, and that's removed a majority of the slop. So that now can be threaded in here. When I bought this receiver, I didn't know it was threaded to mil spec. So to cut the threads on it, I had to take a Marui stock tube, and what I did is I just kept winding it in and out of the receiver. Eventually it just, you know, grooved the threads enough where this could go into place. That might be on one of the other videos, I'm not too sure. So now it is a bit of a bugger to turn in, but we can get it in like that, and then I can come in after and tighten this up with a tool. So now that means we've got the stock. I mean, it's still, you'll see here from the marks from before, it still doesn't close. There's not enough gap in the tolerances, so it does kind of like ride on the stock tube, and that's not to do with the space that I've put in there. It did that in the beginning, so it does kind of bind up. But now it goes on, and it works. It's not perfect, but at least the stock is fitted that I'd originally scoped for this build. So I'd also be messing around with, because you do have that little short buffer that comes with it, but because of the flat edges and the B15 kit, it doesn't give you anywhere near enough of a stop. It's really shallow to stop these flying out. So I was experimenting with the full size buffer because I thought, wonder if the gun will actually function with this in, and it does. And it does sort of stop it, but if it does rotate into the area where you've got those little divots in the plastic, it just of course wants to shoot out like that. So I think for the time being, what we're going to do is going to keep the small buffer, and we'll just have to be very careful when stripping this thing apart. So I'm not going to let that sit there in case it decides to go shooting off into the window. I'm using the Guns Modify gold bolts here, stainless one. You'll see there is an experimental hop unit in there, which is my new one, which I want to check. Hasn't got a barrel fitted on it just yet. I'm just checking the fitment, and it seems to function quite well. What I'd originally fitted it in here for was just dry fire tests to see if we get any, if we had it knocking any of the surfaces, if it breaks off, you know, to show us the weak points. I suppose we can do a quick demo of that. So we're getting close to this build. I was originally going to Cerakote it like a weird colour, but I have changed the grip as well. I changed it to the K2 Plus because the shorter grip, the PDW style MOE grip, is now on the Rattler. So let's see if we can break this hop unit. And so far, in all my tests, and this, you know, again, is a prototype, it's 3D printed, it seems to perform superbly well. There's not really much I can do in terms of, this prototype is mainly for, you know, fitment, see what it's like, how we can get it together, does it go in there properly. I've got arms and stuff on there, so all the parts are 3D printed. But I imagine if we wanted to test the hop capacity of this before going to some CNC machine prototypes, that is going to be, you know, a point of failure for the 3D printed prototype. So I'm not going to get many shots out of it. I just want to test the overall function and fitment of it, if that's what I'm trying to say. So that will be coming soon. There's projects, you know, undergoing, like the propane adapters, which is coming along nicely. We've had lots of orders for those. If you do want one of those propane adapters, make sure to get your orders in quick, because I can't guarantee they'll all be available on release. And I think this is getting to a point where it's quite nice. I'll be using the Q suppressor. Now I do need to sort of Loctite all these components on. So I'll be using a Q suppressor. If this will go on, it might not. So it'll sit like that. And then when I'm not using the suppressor, of course, if it wants to come off, it will have the bronzish coloured flash hider there. What I think I'm going to do, because this doesn't go on very far, but it's got like a angle profile, so I think I'm just going to put a slight angle profile on the barrel, just so the suppressor will sit in just a little bit further. So that's coming along nicely. The barrel out of this I robbed to put into the Rattler, so what I'll do is I'll get that barrel back out the Rattler, put it in this, and then I've got new barrels for the Rattler and other replicas, so that'll be a nice little thing. So what do you think of this build so far? I think it looks quite nice. With this receiver set from, I think it's Dytac that make this, it's just really, really bitey. So you know, the magazines, like the the PMags, for instance, the Guns Modify ones, they really have trouble with this. It like stops the lock back on empty and everything. So I am liking it. It would be nice if the flash hider and the bolt match, maybe if that was that colour. That might be something I can do, but in no rush to do it. And I think even though I was going to Cerakote this, I might just leave it black because, you know, I think it looks quite nice in the black. And the project is almost finished. I'm within two minds what to do with this project when it's finished, whether I'm going to keep it or whether it's going to go up on the website and be sold as a custom gun. Because as long as it's taken, I've just not kind of fell out of love with it. I just think, I don't know, my mind will probably change 10 times before then. I'll probably go, shut up, put it in the collection. Thanks for tuning to this quick video. It's just an update on the B15 SLR build because a couple of you had asked. So it's had a new grip. It's finally got that stock on and it's working properly, which I think is nice because you can have it, you know, nice and compact. You could very much game it like this in a CQB environment. And if you go outdoors or into a wooden environment, you pop the stock out. Sometimes you have to just pull it to latch it slightly. If you pop the button and it's tilted backwards, which I'll demonstrate now, it will lock into place. So I think the spring is just a little bit weak, but it's nice and comfy to use. I need to put a red dot on there, so we'll see what we can get fitted. So thanks very much for tuning to this video. Many exciting products on the way. We've got a suppressor, we've got the MWS hop unit, we've got recoil kit for the AKM, we've got MWS modular barrel system. I've even started working on an MWS blank receiver, which I think if we can do like a billet MWS receiver that's blank, and then you can add whatever you want on it afterwards, and then you just get it Cerakoted, I think that'll be a winner. But that is like not a cheap endeavour, so we need to sort of dial it back just for now. The grease pens, the new moulded pens are on the way, so I've just changed that slightly. On the website right now, if you go into the boneyard section, you can get the one oil pens, but without the push button cap. It's got the old twist cap, so you can get them at a discount. It's like 40% off. Same great one oil compound, same size dispenser, it's just a different way of turning it at the back. They don't have labels on, but they are sold at 40% off. So there's a limited supply of them just because I found a bunch of the twist pens in storage. So I think there's about 60 odd that are going to stock, and then once they're gone, they're gone. So be quick on that one. Thanks for tuning, guys. And as from all, I'm slurring my words now. I need to go have a nap. But as always, from me and from Bench, we'll see you in the next video.